But it seems to me that if a boy wanted to, or a teen wanted to get involved in football, but maybe doesn't have the mom and dad is concerned about the hits, or maybe doesn't have that sense of really want to be involved in that much contact, because it's a tough game. Like Vince Lombardi said, it's not a contact sport, it's a collision sport. And it truly is. But what about the kicker and the punter positions? You see those as viable options, and would you recommend those?
Well, I think that number one is, if you want to play football, if your kids want to play football, the Soccer Federation in November passed a rule that no headers for kids 11 and under. The operative age that we're looking at is really probably more like 14. And so there are ways. We have Christian Okoye. He didn't play football till he was like 23, and he leads the NFL in scoring. You know, it's possible to be a very good football player because you can evolve as an athlete. So the first thing is there's time, and flag football you can learn a lot of things, and there are a lot of new programs in how to tackle properly, and then there are a lot more things about how to recover from concussions. So that's the first thing, is just with anybody playing, if your son or daughter wants to play, obviously try to delay it longer, but also make sure they know how to tackle properly. And then if they really have to, as long as they're making an educated decision with you, you know, that's the hardest thing for parents. Let your kids, in the end, make a decision that's really thought through everything. For the kicker and the punter, it's hard to be a kicker and punter. I had an ability playing soccer in England when I was 9, 10. My dad was in the American Embassy there, and I played soccer all the time. England won the World Cup, hosted the World Cup. They were on TV every day. I had role models there. And I was so much taller than all the other British kids. They wanted me to play rugby 1 month a year. So I did have a natural ability. That's not to say that natural ability can be trumped by some training. So anything that helps you as an athlete, martial arts, ballet, soccer, those three together, frankly, would really help to see if your son or daughter has the ability to kick. I say daughter because I've coached 2 high school female kickers. Amanda Brenner was one of them, and they were good. They were tough, and they did a good job. So kicking, sure, explore it. Most importantly, that's part of that journey. What do you love doing? Because people ask me, do you think that kicker's the best position? You know, I tell my kids I wish they were a kicker, and I tell them, no. Only if you're a very good kicker is it fun. And you don't always do things just because they're fun, but in the NFL, the pressure is so high, and now in college, so high. You got to be ready for an unbelievable level of scrutiny, because unlike the defensive end, who's on the field longer as the kicker, you are absolutely isolated, and everyone's watching, and everyone remembers whether you made it or not. They don't care whether you had a bad hold. They don't care if there was a bad snap. They don't care if there was a big rush. Did you get it done or not? And dealing with that, it's a great teacher for sure, but you better be ready for that. And as long as your son or daughter wants to put in the work, just like any other position, it may be worth it.
How much of the kicking position is technical? Is technical versus mental? Can you quantify that?
You know, in some ways, maintaining your state is probably related to what you have to do as an actor. You have to be in that right place. Yeah. So the preparation, love the preparation during the week. Love to work hard. I was doing squats on a sled with 800 pounds, several sets. I did lunges with 240 pounds, up and down, up and down. I ran with weighted pants. I loved the physical training because it got me more confident. Now the game starts. In the game itself, once you've done your homework, now it's mental. So during the week, one of the things I tell people about in general is, don't think that your physical preparation isn't your mental preparation as well. If you can learn while you're doing your lifting and you're doing your kicking, to see those situations and put yourself in those situations, not only physically see yourself, but emotionally, what state will I be in? How confident will I be in? Then when it actually happens, it's more like your own birthday party, and that's the goal.
Is it fair to compare the swing of the leg in a kick to the swing of a golf club?
I tell people, you know, if that was the case, I'd be a lot better golfer. Because one thing's with your arms and one thing's with your legs. The ability to focus is a universal thing, but it's very different. You're hitting a tiny golf ball you're at different places. With a kick, you can actually more or less hit the same stroke every time, right? If it's a longer kick, some guys tend to try to kick it lower. I didn't. I didn't think that really helped, and it really didn't help me. But in golf, you've got a 50-foot wedge, out of the rough next to the green. You've got a 300-yard shot, with a 3-wood, if you're Tiger Woods or whatever. Maybe not Tiger Woods right now, but someone else. Jason Day maybe, or Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, he's the best now.
So, but those are all different shots. The way I liken it is, a kicker is more like a wedge or a 9-iron. That because you have to cut down to get the ball up over 11 very large people that look like him, that not only are 6'7", but they have 36-inch arms and they can jump 30 inches. So now they're 11 feet or more above the ground, and they're only 20 feet away. You better get the ball up. So you hit it more like a wedge, whereas on a kickoff it's more like a driver, and that's a very different stroke. Unlike soccer, you're drilling it lower. And so soccer players have sometimes a lot of trouble making that transition to kicking and waiting all day for just one kick. That's a very different experience.
That's the mental. It's so great. One quick story stood out in my mind when I saw you kicking, first got with the Chiefs and observed you, is if somebody called, and correct me if I'm missing this, but this is the way it seemed to me, if someone called a timeout to try to ice you, you didn't just stand around out there and look around for 2 minutes. You ran off the field, got back into your practice routine, and then at just about the last possible moment, you didn't want to be rushed, but you got your practice reps in, then you jogged back on the field, just like the timeout never happened.
Yep. Exactly. So people go, does the timeout hurt kickers? It hurts bad kickers. It hurts kickers that aren't mentally tough. It helps. It helps the good kickers because you've learned how to manage your mental state. I remember, I'm not sure, you might have been there. We played the Denver Broncos, and Rich Carlos is a great kicker, great guy, kicked barefooted, and it's a really cold game. And we called 2 straight timeouts, and we're up by 3. I kicked 3 field goals in the fourth quarter, by the way. So Mom and Dad were there, and I was happy. But he has a chance to tie the game. And we called 2 straight timeouts, and he just stood there, and it was cold. And in the end, he hooked it and it hit the upright, and we win. The most famous one is Scott Norwood. 2 straight timeouts. He's standing there in the middle of the field. It just can't help. To me, keep yourself distracted with your routine. That's what actually the great golfers will say. You've practiced your routine to line up the putt, which is the most similar sort of pressure. And let's say it's a 6-foot putt. Well, you've made 20 in a row or 10 in a row from 6 feet, but now you got to make it, and there's no excuse. That's where your routine and trusting your routine is everything.
Yeah. How do folks get a hold of Nick Lowery for any reason they want to get involved with one of your charitable causes? Maybe they want to, if they can talk to you or maybe employ you for some kicking lessons. I don't know if you're open to that at this point, but Nick lives in Phoenix, Arizona, so if you're in that vicinity, how do folks get a hold of you?
Just Nick at LowerySpeaks.com, and we do talks on finding your purpose, on leadership. We do anti-bullying programs in schools, and I will coach people here and there too, which is fun. It brings you back because, once again, it's that the great actors, the great people in any endeavor are 3-dimensional people who have developed not only the capacity to do well on the field, but they manage their success off the field. So I really enjoy coaching people for that reason. That's why I like this show, by the way, because you see all of those connective tissues that ensure you may be a good actor, but how do you think through your opportunities? Because even as a good actor, you're going to be rejected 90% of the time. And even when you make it, how do you handle your success? So we love that and appreciate being on this show because, Pete, you're a natural, man. You should do this more often.
Yeah, thanks. Well, this is Nick Lowery. That's my man, going way, way back. So, Nick, I appreciate the time today.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks. This is Pete Koch breaking it down. See you next time.